A long time ago, a drop of sunshine fell from the sky, and from that drop sprouted a flower with healing powers. Upon discovering it, an old beggar woman named Gothel starts to visit it on a regular basis to maintain her youth for hundreds of years by singing "Flower, Gleam and Glow." Lesson 1. Don't hoard. When you have good things that can help others in need, don't hoard them all for yourself. As the centuries pass, a majestic kingdom grows nearby, and unfortunately, one of her queens has grown ill. The whole kingdom sets out in search for the legendary enchanted sunflower. As Providence would have it, Mother Gothel accidentally leaves the flower uncovered, and the soldiers find it, uprooting it and bringing it back to their pregnant and sick queen. The queen's health is revived, and in a matter of a few days, the queen gives birth to a baby princess with long golden hair, strangely unlike her parents' brown hair. And to celebrate the birth of their daughter, they release a paper lantern with a new royal crest for their baby girl with the symbol of the sun. While the king and queen are sleeping one evening, Gothel sneaks into the palace and discovers the hair has the same properties as the flower, but when she tries to cut off some hair, it turns brown and becomes powerless to heal. Gothel then kidnaps the girl and names her Rapunzel, raising her in a hidden tower in the woods so that she can use Rapunzel's hair to stay young, and forbidding her to ever leave the tower. Even though she doesn't know her true history, at a young age Rapunzel discovers special lights in the sky that appear annually on her birthday. Rapunzel doesn't have a lot of friends, but she does have a pet chameleon named Pascal. She also has a lot of time on her hands, and often wonders, when will my life begin? But she's productive with her time and doesn't mind cleaning the house and doing chores. She also tries to make the most of her time with various hobbies. Lesson 2. Hobbies help you grow as a person. Rapunzel loves doing different kinds of things, and it makes her a well-rounded person. Oh yeah, she also has to spend a lot of time brushing her hair. Lesson 3. Don't stop dreaming. Rapunzel can't help but dream about what's outside the tower in the outside world, a place she's never set foot before. She also feels drawn to the release of the sky lanterns every year on her birthday, feeling deep down that they mean something special and significant to her. Another special thing Rapunzel does with her hair is that she can use it as a rope ladder for Mother Gothel when she leaves or returns, allowing no easy access for strangers, as well as serving as an effective prison for Rapunzel. Mother Gothel isn't actually very nice to Rapunzel. Lesson 4. If you are in an abusive relationship, don't give up hope. Rapunzel had to deal with an abusive woman for 18 years who wasn't even her mother, but her life eventually got better. The day before Rapunzel's 18th birthday, she asks Mother Gothel for permission to see the sky lanterns, convinced they're somehow connected to her. She finds it unusual how the lights are released every year on her birthday. Mother Gothel explains to Rapunzel how the outside world is too dangerous and she's too weak and young to possibly survive all the terrible things outside the tower. Gothel finally gives Rapunzel an ultimatum to never speak of leaving the tower again. Meanwhile, a handsome thief with the name of Flynn Rider attempts to make his greatest heist yet, stealing the crown that belongs to the missing princess. They run as fast as they can away from the city. Lesson 5. Do what is wrong, and trouble will chase after you. They run through the woods trying to escape the palace guards. While escaping, Flynn finds an opportunity to leave his companions trapped while taking the crown all for himself, leaving his fellow thieves to be captured by the palace guards. He then is able to escape the palace guards, but finds difficulty in eluding one persistent horse. Far from being a dumb animal, the horse actually knows what was stolen, and tries to stop Flynn from getting away with the crown. While continuing to run away from the guards and the horse, Flynn Rider discovers a secret entrance into a cave. Hiding farther inside the cave, he finds a whole enclosure with a tower, Rapunzel's tower. Flynn manages to get inside to hide, but soon discovers that the tower is actually occupied. This is the first time that Rapunzel has ever seen an outsider, and is worried that he might be one of the mean strangers with pointy teeth that Mother Gothel told her about. But to her surprise, the stranger actually looks rather normal, and perhaps even attractive. Trying to figure out what to do with her prisoner, Rapunzel takes him to a wardrobe to imprison and hide him until Mother Gothel comes home. Having taken care of her intruder, Rapunzel inspects the satchel the stranger was carrying and discovers a crown inside. Little does she know, it's actually her own crown. Mother Gothel comes back from her trip, and Rapunzel considers showing the stranger to Gothel as proof that she's capable of taking care of herself. However, Gothel refuses to even talk about it, so Rapunzel decides not to tell Mother Gothel about the intruder hidden in the wardrobe, and instead asks Mother Gothel for paint that requires a 3-day trip far away. After Mother Gothel leaves, Rapunzel lets Flynn out of the closet and proceeds to wake him up, requiring some extra persuasion from Pascal. Rapunzel wants to talk to the stranger, but she's not taking any chances and keeps him tied up in his chair. Lesson 6. Make the most of your opportunities. Rapunzel has never talked to anyone besides Mother Gothel, and she makes the most of her chance now. The stranger seems to be used to talking his way out of situations, but neither Rapunzel or Pascal are taken in by his smooth talking. Rapunzel decides to ask the stranger about the sky lanterns. Seeing that Flynn knows about the lanterns, she then orders him to take her to see them, and after which Rapunzel will return Flynn's satchel and the crown. Lesson 7. Don't be gullible. Rapunzel wasn't as gullible as Mother Gothel took her to be. She knows people can be sneaky and plays it smart with Flynn. Rapunzel's not sure about leaving the tower. She's never left the tower before. This will be the first step that she's ever placed outside the tower, and she absolutely loves it. Lesson 8. Step out of your comfort zone. Rapunzel left her tower and started her own adventure. Don't be afraid of stepping out of what is comfortable and starting something new. Lesson 9. Take time to enjoy the small things. Rapunzel took time to enjoy life and the outdoors. She can't wait to explore the whole world, but she often has second thoughts. One moment she's super happy, and the next moment she's doubting whether she made the right choice or not. Seeing an opportunity, Flynn Rider tries to convince Rapunzel that she should go back to the tower because it would crush Mother Gothel if she found out Rapunzel left. But Flynn is sneaky, and what he really wants is the satchel with the crown. But again, Rapunzel proves that she's not that gullible. She wants to see the lights. When Mother Gothel runs into Maximus the horse, she realizes that strangers in the area might mean Rapunzel's in trouble. At the tower, she finds that Rapunzel has escaped and also discovers the crown that Flynn has stolen. Meanwhile, Flynn takes Rapunzel to the Snuggly Duckling. Lesson 10. Don't make quick judgments. At first glance, the Snuggly Duckling looks like a nice place, but when Rapunzel walks in, the men inside don't look so nice. But again, this is another example of not judging so quickly. Despite the dangerous look of the men, they actually ended up becoming an ally and friend to Flynn and Rapunzel. When the men try to capture Flynn for the poster reward, Rapunzel stops them and pleads with them if they have ever had a dream. And lo and behold, the dangerous men of the Snuggly Duckling also have many dreams of their own. Lesson 11. Don't be afraid to dream. Rapunzel had a dream, and so did all these men, regardless of how mean-looking they seemed. Even Flynn has a dream. He dreams of having a castle and lots of money. The men of the Snuggly Duckling love Rapunzel's dream, but weren't very impressed with Flynn's dream. All of a sudden, the palace guards show up looking for Flynn Rider. Rapunzel's and Flynn's newfound friends help them to escape through a trap door. Lesson 12. Be kind. Rapunzel's always kind to everyone she meets, even the rough-looking men she met at the Snuggly Duckling. The guards seem at a loss, but with the tracking skill of Maximus, they discover where Rapunzel and Flynn disappeared. The palace guards soon come rushing down the tunnel and trap them against a dam. Fortunately, Rapunzel's hair is not only useful for healing, it is also useful for acrobatics like escaping from Flynn's old companions, the palace guards, and Maximus the horse. The dam is accidentally broken, and Rapunzel and Flynn escape into an old mine, only to be trapped while the water keeps rising. While searching for a way out, Flynn badly cuts his hand. Giving up hope of ever escaping, Flynn shares that his real name is actually Eugene, and Rapunzel shares that her hair can glow, which then makes her realize that her hair can actually help them find a way out. And with a couple of rocks removed, they manage to escape the abandoned mine. Flynn is simply too astounded by the fact that Rapunzel's hair is magical and can glow. But little does he know that glowing isn't the only thing that her hair can do. Meanwhile, Mother Gothel meets Flynn's old companions to convince them to work for her, giving them an opportunity to get revenge on Flynn. Rapunzel uses her magical song to heal Flynn's hand, revealing the other magical property about her hair. Once again, Flynn is astounded and amazed by this girl he found in the tower. She then shares how her hair can never be cut, otherwise it loses its magical properties. Flynn then shares some of his own story about how he was an orphan and how he dreamed of having adventures of his own someday. Lesson 13. Listen to other people's stories. You just might learn a lot from them. Flynn and Rapunzel's relationship seems to be growing and blossoming into something more as their interest in each other starts to become tangled together. Mother Gothel shows up while Flynn gathers firewood and tries to convince Rapunzel to come back to the tower, telling her that Flynn is really a thief and shouldn't be trusted. Rapunzel stands up for herself and Flynn and resists Gothel's accusations, but Mother Gothel tries to sow a seed of doubt with Rapunzel by telling her that all Flynn really wants is the crown and that he would leave her after he gets what he wants. Lesson 14. Don't believe everything you are told. As you can imagine, Mother Gothel has a sinister plan in place. Mother Gothel and her two henchmen stay close by waiting for the next opportunity. The next morning, Rapunzel wakes up to Flynn being dragged away by Maximus the horse. Rapunzel intervenes and tries to settle him down with the help of Pascal. Rapunzel tries to explain to Maximus that she really needs Flynn's help, at least for a day, and after that, Maximus can continue to chase Flynn as much as he likes. Maximus agrees since it was Rapunzel's birthday after all. Rapunzel and Flynn make it to the city where the lanterns are released every year. They soon realize upon entering the city that Rapunzel's hair gets tangled and in the way of many people, so they find some girls to braid her hair. While in the city, Rapunzel sees a mural with the king and queen and their daughter, the missing princess, and it seems to stir something inside of Rapunzel. Flynn and Rapunzel have fun throughout the day, joining in the festivities, celebrating the missing princess's birthday, spending time together as they wait for evening to come, with activities like chalk drawing, reading books, and even dancing. When evening comes, Flynn brings her out on a boat so she can get the best possible view when lanterns are released at nighttime. Lesson 15. Savor the moments of life. Flynn and Rapunzel don't know what lies ahead, but they enjoy the moments they have together. The king and queen miss their daughter who they haven't seen since she was a baby, and in her memory, they release a lantern, as does the rest of the city, just like they have done for the past 18 years. Lesson 16. Don't give up. Rapunzel's parents never gave up hope of finding their daughter, and little did they know that the day was coming soon it would come to pass. Rapunzel is overjoyed to be finally seeing the lanterns with her own eyes for the first time. What a magical night it was for Rapunzel on her birthday. Flynn surprises Rapunzel with some lanterns of their own to release, and Rapunzel shares her own surprise, how she brought the satchel for Flynn. But Flynn isn't really interested in the crown anymore, when compared to the real treasure he's found in Rapunzel. Lesson 17. Sometimes falling in love takes time. Flynn and Rapunzel didn't get tangled up in love at first sight. Like many relationships, it takes time. But now they see the light, as they realize how much they really care for one another. Before the enchanted evening ends, however, Flynn is interrupted by his old companions. He decides to just give the satchel to them so they can leave him and Rapunzel alone. Rapunzel, however, grows nervous and wonders if Flynn will really come back. When Rapunzel sees Flynn sailing away on a boat, she assumes the worst, that he's actually leaving her and is devastated. At this deviously orchestrated moment, Mother Gothel shows up to whisk Rapunzel away back to the tower. Little does Rapunzel know, however, that Flynn wasn't even awake on the boat and he was actually tied up against his will so that he would be captured by the soldiers at the city. Back at the tower, Rapunzel reminisces about all the wonderful things she did that day, and grieves the loss of a dream seemingly shattered and a loss of someone she thought she loved. Then, she notices something about the princess's crest that is strangely familiar, and realizes that it's the same shape she's been drawing her whole life. And with a sudden revelation, she remembers the missing princess and the stolen crown. And all of these things line up with one inevitable conclusion. She realizes she is the missing princess. She then confronts Mother Gothel for all the lies that she's been told over the years. Lesson 18. Stand up for what is right. Rapunzel finally realizes that Mother Gothel did not really care for anyone except for herself. Meanwhile, Flynn is still prisoner at the palace, but he's soon rescued by the Snuggly Duckling men, and by Maximus the horse, who seems to have become friends with Flynn after all. Maximus whisks Flynn away from the guards so that he can escape the city and rescue Rapunzel from her tower. Flynn climbs up on Rapunzel's hair, not realizing that it's actually a trap inside the tower, with Mother Gothel lying in wait. Seeing how badly hurt Flynn is, Rapunzel makes an agreement with Mother Gothel to never try to escape again and to stay with her, if she is allowed to heal Flynn's fatal wound with her hair. Flynn, however, would rather die than let Rapunzel be used as a servant for the rest of her life, and instead cuts Rapunzel's hair to set her free from a lifetime of abuse. Mother Gothel, without the healing power of Rapunzel's hair, grows old again and trips and falls out of the tower, becoming dust even before hitting the ground. Rapunzel is filled with so much grief at losing Flynn that one of her tears falls on Flynn's face, and somehow, against all odds, that tear has some magical power left over from her hair. And with that power from the flower, it heals Flynn's wound and brings him back to life. Flynn and Rapunzel return to the palace so they can finally meet her true parents, the king and queen. They have been aching for this day for the past 18 years, hoping and praying that they might finally find their long-lost daughter again. Lesson 19. Life is full of surprises. Just when the king and queen were not sure if they would ever see their daughter again, life brought them a good surprise and reunited them together. And so, after all, the king and queen finally have their daughter back. And yes, Rapunzel and Flynn get married, and they live happily ever after.